What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Talk About Sports with Jake. Hope we're all doing well. Barring a call-in, we're gonna have another shorter-ish show today. We got some basketball I want to talk about. That's probably gonna be it for today. But first off, Dianna Russini has stepped down from her position as a journalist with The Athletic, where she stepped down on her own. The Athletic didn't want to deal with the negative PR, so they just gave her a bag and like, see ya, bye-bye. They gave her some money, but she's such a joke. She puts out hit pieces on the Jets all the time. I'm not saying the Jets don't deserve criticism. They are an absolute joke, and they are the worst franchise in all of football, and probably in all of sports. I've said in this podcast, I think they're the worst franchise in all of sports. Being a fan of them is very difficult. But all she does is put out hit pieces on the Jets. And you're supposed to be an impartial journalist, and you're doing that, and you're making up stuff. She made up the whole thing with the Tennessee Titans. And she went on some podcast and she was like, "Oh well, I didn't get it from a bad source." How she was clearly lying. She's a joke. And there were a few women who came out. It's like this is really bad for women in sports. That she's supposed to be a journalist, she's someone who's made it. Now she's hooking up. She's cheating on her husband with another married man who's the head coach of the New England Patriots. Obviously, head coach of a team in the sport that she covered. That's a horrendous look, and she she needs to be gone. She cannot be a sports journalist and cover the NFL ever again. That just can't happen. She's a complete joke. But some quick baseball notes. The Milwaukee Brewers have some more injury news. Christian Yelich is going on the injury list for grade 2 groin strain. He's going to miss probably about a month, maybe a little more. Won't be back till mid to late May. And the Jackson Chourio, who broke his hand, I think it might have happened in the World Baseball Classic. He discovered the injury right before opening day. He is which is expected to come back. They're hoping to get him back before the end of April. Not going to happen. They're pushing back his debut to at least the early part of May. So Brewers injuries kind of piling up a little bit. Not as bad as the Blue Jays. They have 4 starting pitchers out and a bunch of key pieces and a lineup out. But the Detroit Tigers lock up Kevin McGonigle on an 8-year deal worth $150 million. McGonigle is just 21 years old. He was a first-round pick by Detroit 3 years ago. Second best prospect in all baseball heading into the year. Made the opening day roster. After starting shortstop, he's looked very good. He's hitting .311 right now with 8 runs batted in, a .417 on base, a .908 OPS. Obviously, very early on in the season. We're only about 3 weeks in. He only has 61 at-bats, but also a very good start, and the Tigers locked him up. Again, it's the Atlanta Braves model. You sign a guy, think this is going to pay him a little over $23 million a year, if my math is correct. And he's not going to make that probably ever in arbitration, at least not for another 3, 4, 5 years. And he can still hit the open market when he's 29 years old with some prime years left. As an elite shortstop, if he is one, he'll get a big deal. You can still get that big contract that everybody wants. And for the Tigers, you buy out his arbitration years and you push back his free agency for 2 years. Once upon a time down the road, and you push back his free agency. Now let's talk about some basketball. Playing started last night. Hornets defeat the Miami Heat 127-126. A crazy back and forth game. Is absolutely nuts. Heat were up like 6 points late in that fourth quarter. Hornets come back, get a couple of late stops, get a couple of late threes, 2 contested threes from Brandon Miller, and then a crazy shot by Kobe White with less than 11 seconds left. Tyler Hero misses a free as time expires. And the overtime, Charlotte goes up by 5 really late in that game. And then the Heat got a bucket to go. They make a three to make it a 2-point game. And then a horrific turnover from LaMelo Ball leads to Tyler Hero for that he was fouled on. He makes all 3 free throws. Charlotte gets the ball back. And LaMelo Ball, who played horrible all night, Knepp was also horrible all night. He had just that brutal turnover the possession before with a layup in the last 5 seconds. Heat for 3-pointers, nowhere close as time expires right after that. Charlotte wins 127-126. So they move on to the 8 seed game in the play-in tournament. The Miami Heat are eliminated from playoff contention. Of course, their fourth straight year in the play-in. For the first time in those 4 years, they will not advance to the postseason. And now you wonder what Miami does from here. Does Norman Powell come back to go after Giannis again? I'm hearing they will. Pat Riley is 81 years old. He's running out of time. 2-minute championship with this core. I've gotten close a couple of times. You're in the finals from the bubble. You're in the finals in, I think it was 2022. You came out of the play-in, all went to the finals before losing to Denver. And since then, it's just been getting slapped in the first round every single year. So, and now you lose in the play-in. So they have a lot of figuring out to do. But Charlotte, good for them. They win a playing game. Then they move on to the 8 game. And the Portland Trailblazers defeat the Phoenix Suns in the 7-8 game in the Western Conference. Demi Avdija late basket to seal it. Big game for him. 41, 7, and 12. He's had a fantastic year, turning into a really good player. And Portland, who played some really good, basketball down the stretch, jumped the Clippers for the 8 seed. And kudos to Thiago Splitter for keeping that team competitive all year, even after the Chauncey Billups thing and him taking over head coach last minute like that. And Portland advances to the playoffs. They are the 7 seed, and they will put the San Antonio Spurs in the first round. Probably going to get absolutely clotheslined by the San Antonio Spurs in the first round, but still. Going into the year, we all thought this may be a play team at best. Then the Chauncey Billups thing happens. We think, oh, they're done. And now they're in the playoffs. So kudos to the Portland Trailblazers. The playing games that will be tonight will be Magic and Sixers. The winner will be the 7th seed in the Eastern Conference and play Boston in the first round. And the loser plays Charlotte, and the winner of that will play Detroit in the first round. On the Western Conference side, Golden State and the Clippers. The winner will play the Phoenix Suns. And the winner of that will be the 8 seed and play Oklahoma City in the first round. The loser is eliminated from playoff contention. So last segment for today. Like I said, we will go a little bit short today. I'm going to do my NBA hot seat rankings, and I mentioned I was going to do it yesterday, possibly. Decided to push it till today. But here are my NBA hot seat rankings. There are 6 coaches, by the way. I'm not including a couple. I'm not including the Pelicans. First, they fired Willie Green very early on in the season. They've already started their head coach search. James Borrego, their interim coach, is going to be interviewed and will have a chance to earn the full-time job. I do not include Billy Donovan with the Bulls. It appears they have committed to him as their head coach despite the front office change. And also, Doc Rivers already stepped down from the Milwaukee Bucks, so that job is also already open. But here are the 6 that I think are possible. The 6th one is possibly kind of cheating a little bit, and I don't see anything happening in terms of change, but I put Steve Kerr on this list. His contract is ending after the season. Obviously, very disappointing year for the Golden State Warriors. Last year, you were in the conference semifinals. If Steph Curry doesn't get injured in that series against Minnesota, they may have won that series, and there's a good chance they do win that series if Steph stays fully healthy. This year dealt with a ton of injuries, including Steph Curry. He missed a couple of months with that knee injury. A lot of guys missed time. You traded Jonathan Kuminga and Buddy Hield for Kristaps Porzingis, who might have played 15 games for them, something like that. He was never on the court. The team was just depleted pretty much all season. Ended up, obviously, Jimmy Butler tore his ACL early on in the season. So they ended up with the last playing spot in the Western Conference. He said in the past he'll never leave Steph Curry. Being said, maybe he looks at it and like, you know what? I've been here a while. I've won 4 championships. I've had a great run. He's won, I think he has 9 championships, including his playing years. He won 5 as a player, I think. He won 3 as with Michael Jordan. I think he won 2 with Tim Duncan, the very early days of Tim Duncan. And he's won 4 as a coach. And he lost in the finals twice as a coach as well. So the guy's just obviously a great winner. Maybe he decides to hang him up. But I think they will figure out a new contract for him, and he will come back. But he's not getting fired by any means. It'll be a mutual parting of ways, if anything. But I don't think that happens. From what I've heard, he's going to come back, and I think that will definitely happen. Number 5, Brian Keefe. I would put him higher. I would put him 1 or 2. I don't think he's a good head coach at all. I know the Wizards teams have not been good, but just they're not even remotely competitive. They're gonna have 130, 140 plus points in regulation every single night. You have 83 to Bam Adebayo, which is just pathetic. And you look around the league, like Utah's really bad. Jaren Jackson is injured. Laurie Markkinen is injured. Their roster is pretty much a bare bones roster, practically a G League roster, and they're not winning a lot of games, but they're at least somewhat competitive every night. Look at Brooklyn. They have a horrendous roster that's made up of mostly 19 to 22-year-olds, plus Mecca Porter Jr., I guess. That's the one veteran presence there. And they're not winning games by any means. They're absolutely terrible, but they're at least remotely competitive. Sort of. They're more competitive than Washington is. So I think he's got to go. Also, next year, they could be relatively serviceable. If Anthony Davis is healthy, Trae Young is healthy, if Alex Sarr another year under his belt, Keyshawn George fully healthy a year under his belt, they're going to have a top five pick, I would think. I mean, you never know with the lottery, but I would think they're going to have at least a top five pick. This is a very deep class. If they're in that top five, they should get a perennial all-star in that first round pick. So at full strength, this could be a team that maybe is a playing team in the East. Now, health is a big concern with Anthony Davis and even Trae Young. But at their ceiling next year, they are going to be, possibly a 500 basketball team. It's not out of the question if you ask me. And like this year, they're tanking. There's no way around it. Not playing Trae Young, not playing Anthony Davis. It's pathetic. Next year, they aren't going to tank. They're going to try and actually win next year, which is what they should be doing all along. But that's another story for another day. But I don't see how you can bring the guy back. Say what you want about the Rocks. The guy's like 120 games under 500. Like in this is his third year, second full year of a job. Like that's pathetic. At four, I have Nick Nurse. Now I like Nick Nurse. You want a title in Toronto? I think he's done a decent job in Philadelphia. However, they have not won a playoff series with him. I think this is year three with him. Now, the reason they haven't won a playoff series is because this team is poorly built, and Joel Embiid can't stay on the court. Neither can Paul George. Even Tyrese Maxey's had some trouble staying on the court the last 2 years. Joel Embiid's hurt again. He's not going to play in the playing game. I don't see him playing in the postseason at all. Maxey missed a bunch of time. Paul George missed a bunch of time. I don't think he'll get fired. I would think they'll excuse him because of the injuries. But my thought is just if Darren Moore just won't take the blame himself, he doesn't want his players to take the blame. If they do end up losing in the play-in, or maybe get absolutely just bludgeoned in the first round by Boston or by Detroit, I could see it possibly happening just the way the landscape of the NBA is with coaches right now. It shouldn't happen. I don't think it'll happen, but I think it's possible. Number three, Chris Finch in Minnesota. I like Chris Finch. I think he's a decent coach. He's taken Minnesota to back-to-back Western Conference Finals. However, this year they have not been nearly as good. I don't think it's super fair to let him go. I just think they're a little overmatched. They have dealt with injuries this year, including Anthony Edwards. Their superstar has been banged up throughout the season. That being said, this core hasn't won. If they lose in the first round to Denver, which I do think happens, I could see Minnesota thinking, the brass thinking, maybe we've reached our ceiling with Chris Finch as the head coach. And it's going to be difficult because of the NBA salary rules to really retool this roster and get a real number two option there. I don't think that's Julius Randle. It certainly isn't Rudy Gobert. He's just there for his rim protection. And Anthony Rose needs a legit number two option. They have not gotten that for him yet. I could see them moving up from Chris Finch if they lose in the first round. Especially if it's a shorter series and they get kind of dominated. I think it'll happen. But if I had to guess, assuming it's a hard-fought 6 or 7 game series, like I think it will be, I'll say he comes back another year, but it's possible he gets fired. Number two, Ime Udoka. Now, again, I like Ime Udoka a lot. Maybe hide your wife from him. You guys go around sleeping with the CEO's wife in Boston, but all seriousness, he is a good coach. His double big lineups revolutionized the NBA. He's a good coach. But something's been wrong with Houston for a lot of the second half of the year. I really think it's Kevin Durant. After all that stuff came out about him with the burners, something's been off with them. And also, just a lot of the young guys have not taken a step forward this year. Jabari Smith hasn't developed like they've liked. Reece Shepard certainly hasn't. After Sengun has regressed this year. And, when you make the playoffs last year and win 50-ish games and you trade for Kevin Durant, you better be in that Western Conference final discussion. And if they lose to the Lakers, who are going to have Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves out for probably at least half the series, there is no way that he will come back. I'm not sure how fair that is. They have got a little better each year under him. They were very bad when he took over. They've become a decent team with him, and they've gone into the playoffs on a really high note, winning nine of the last 10. But another first round playoff, this time to a ancient and depleted potentially Lakers team. I think that will cost him his job. Something's wrong over there. Number one is Jamal Mosley. I don't see how Mistake doesn't get fired. Even if they win the playing game tonight and they make the playoffs, they're going to get bludgeoned by Boston. The players seem to have quit on him. He can't even motivate these guys to play a full 60 minutes. You last year were a playing team. You give up four unprotected firsts for Desmond Bain, a healthy Paolo Banchero, a healthy Franz Wagner, healthy Jalen Suggs, and you've regressed. Banchero has not had a good year under him. They haven't even been that good defensively, despite him being a defensive-minded guy, that always being their identity. He's got to go. I don't hate Jamal Mosley. They're in a better spot with him than they were before he got there. Really outside of once Dwight Howard left in free agency, what was that, 2012? After they lost in the finals. Around there. Until, maybe 2 years ago, they were a pretty horrendous team. They also had a one or two half-decent season. And they're at least above average from under him, but just they've reached their ceiling with Jamal Mosley. The players have quit on him. The team is checked out. I expect them to lose in the play-in, and Jamal Mosley will get fired. That's all I got for you guys today. Till next time, so long. Have a great day.